Hi docs, today we will discuss about speech. What is the correlation of speech in the clinical practice? When a patient comes to you and you want to know he is suffering some lesions, some disorder regarding speech in the brain or not. If he have some lesions in brain, so you will give him a task. If he will speak well or he will speak not well, so you will know about the lesions in the brain. So the highest function of brain, why highest? Because a mechanism of speech is very complex. We have a brain and we cut in a two equal part. We have a cerebral hemisphere, one cerebral hemisphere, left hemisphere. Why left? Because 95% of population is right-handed. So our all population, they have a very active left hemisphere. So we put a left hemisphere here. This is the superolateral surface of the hemisphere. This is a superolateral surface. And when you see the superolateral surface, you will see some poles, a frontal pole and posterior poles. In the superolateral surface, also see some lobes. This is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and temporal lobe. In these lobes, you will see some sulci and gyruses. But today we will discuss just about gyruses because some areas are present in the gyruses. So in the frontal lobe, we have a superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus. As frontal lobe, we have in the temporal lobe, we have a superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus and inferior temporal gyrus. In the temporal gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, also known as Hassel gyrus, a very important name, Hassel gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, also known as Hassel gyrus. So before start the speech, we have to discuss some other things in the superolateral surface. You will see two sulcus. This is a central sulcus and this is a lateral sulcus. This central sulcus divide this hemisphere, frontal lobe and parietal lobe, and this temporal part and frontal part divided with the help of this lateral sulcus. So this speech having a complex mechanism. This complex mechanism is divided into two parts: central speech apparatus and peripheral speech apparatus. Central speech apparatus, the cortical center, the highest center in the brain, cortical center and subcortical center. Cortical center, like some areas present in the cortex, and subcortical center like substantia nigra in basal ganglia and cerebellum, because it's a subcortical centers. And peripheral speech center, all the information coordinate here, and after this you have to perform the function. So with the help of these peripheral speech apparatus, you will perform their speech: larynx, pharynx, mouth, nasal cavity, lips, tongue. So they are both doing in the coordinating manner. So if I give you some target like brain, you have to see this brain, and first you see this written words, some written words, brain. First visualize, and this sensation is coming in the visual apparatus. This visual apparatus sense your visual sensation and transfer this information toward the primary visual cortex. This primary visual cortex, area number 17, present in the occipital lobe, perceive visual sensation. And after this perception, this information will go toward the secondary visual area, and also known as visio-psychic area, and also known as visual association cortex. Why visual association cortex? Because all the perception which we are received from the primary visual cortex, we associate here. We have some memory about these symbols like B, R, A, I, N. We memorize these words when we were in the childhood stage. So we interpreted this visual sensation here and storage memory of speech symbols. The area number 19 and 18 work as a secondary visual area. After collecting this information, this 19 and 18 area will forward the signal toward 39 number area, which are present in angular gyrus. After this angular gyrus, this information will go toward wernicke's area. Wernicke's area, a very interesting and fantastic area. There, the comprehension of visual sensation or auditory sensation, we will discuss later, occur. Comprehension and understanding the words. Actually, we have a memory in the brain, in the secondary visual area, but we have to understand these language. What kind of language is it? So we comprehend this information in the wernicke's area, and this is a sensory area. And after the wernicke's area, this information will go toward the Broca's area. Broca's area, which is present in the inferior frontal gyrus. Broca's area, area number 44 and 45. This is known as Broca's speech area. Broca's speech area. What the function of Broca's speech area? Broca's area plan the speech muscle movement. Plan the speech muscle movement. We have information. We have information. We have a comprehension. We have understanding the words. We understand, but we have to produce the sound. We have to produce the sound with the help of plan. If we don't have a plan, we can't speak well. So we must, for the fluency, we must to go in the Broca's area. This Broca's area received this information from the wernicke's area with the help of some fiber. This fibers is known as arcuate fasciculus. And also this Broca's area present in the posterior part of the inferior frontal gyrus. Posterior part is an important question here. And after the planning, we have a plan, and after the planning we have to perform this function. For all the performing first function, first the impulses go towards the fourth area, and maybe sixth here also. Fourth area, this is a precentral gyrus, frontal motor cortex. All the information which are coming in various part of the brain, we must to perform this function with the help of frontal motor gyrus. This is a motor area, and which perform this function with the help of some fibers, some pyramidal fibers. So the skeletal muscle, this central gyrus control skeletal muscle like tongue, larynx, pharynx, lips, and so many. But now we have to discuss about tongue, larynx, pharynx, and lips. This information will go toward the cerebellum with the help of some pyramidal tract. Here some pyramidal cells. So many pyramidal cells are present. Pyramidal cell in the cerebral cortex. And from this cell, pyramidal fibers will go toward the cerebellum. Cerebellum. What is the function of cerebellum? Coordination. If a patient comes to you and you want to know he is an alcoholic or not, you will give him a task. Can you walk in a straight line? Can you walk in a straight line? He can't. He can't walk because he is an alcoholic. He have a lesions present in the cerebellum. He has damage in the cerebellum. He can't coordinate their muscles. He have a impulse, he have a sensation, but he can't coordinate. He will walk, but he can't coordinate. So all the plan we have, all the impulses we have, but we have to coordinate our muscle, our tongue muscle with the lips. So we have to go in the cerebellum. In the cerebellum, this is a brain. This is a brain, and we have cerebellum here. These fibers from the cerebral cortex will go cerebellum, toward the cerebellum, and cerebellum coordinate all the information, and after this we need to go these impulses toward the muscles, toward the lung, toward the larynx muscle, toward the lips muscle, toward the tongue muscle. So we required some nucleus present in the brain stem, and this nucleus will transfer this information toward the skeletal muscles with the help of some nerve fibers. These nerve fibers, cranial nerves, known as cranial nerves, like ninth nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, 10th vagus nerve, which provide the communication between the brain stem and the pharynx, and 12th nerve, hypoglossal nerve. All the impulses coming from the brain stem, it's provide the route toward the tongue. How you have to move your tongue. So you provide the information toward the skeletal muscle, tongue muscle, lips muscle. So you have to speak. Well, beside this, you receive impulses from the eye, and if you have not written brain, you have a heard impulse. You hear from your ear. If you receive impulses from your ear, these impulses will go toward the auditory apparatus. This auditory apparatus receive your auditory impulses and perceive primary and given to the primary auditory cortex. Primary auditory cortex present in the 41 and 42 area present in the superior temporal gyrus. This temporal gyrus having two areas like 41 and 42 and also 22. Primary auditory cortex will transfer this auditory sensation toward the secondary auditory area. This secondary auditory area, also known as auditopsychic area, auditory sensation. We have a memory about some spoken words, and with the help of this memory we will understand these words in the wernicke area. And after this secondary auditory area, this information will go toward the wernicke area, and in the wernicke area comprehension and understand the spoken words will occur, and after this wernicke's whole path will follow like before, from the arcuate fasciculus, Broca's area, and Broca's area cerebral cortex and cerebellum and brain stem, like same information. Beside this, also we have some sensation, like a beautiful girl comes to you and she can touch your hand, and you are very precious for that beautiful girl. How you know it's a beautiful girl touching your hand? And if you are not seeing her, you are not hearing her voice, how you know this is a feeling of touch? And you have to speak like you are that girl. How? In the post-central gyrus, in the parietal sensory cortex, we have a general sensation. If you are touching someone, if you are feeling pain, you have a temperature, you have some proprioception, you perceive something, you touch something, and you have to speak. Like those persons are impaired for the impairment from auditory and visual. They are blind and they are mutism. They are mute. So they also speak with the help of this proprioception, touch, pain and temperature. General sensation present in the post-central gyrus, and from the post-central gyrus this information will come into the first, second and third number area. This area present in the post-central gyrus. From the post-central gyrus some fibers will come towards the Broca's area, and whole mechanism will perform like same. Broca's area, this will plan speech muscle and will give the information toward the precentral gyrus of frontal motor cortex and control skeletal muscle, and will give the information toward the cerebellum and brain stem, then speech will perform. That was the speech function. What is the speech function? It's expression of thought. How you express your thought. You have some thinking. With the help of speech, you can say, I have this problem.